Hey, hello, and welcome to the final episode of The Educated Fan. In a way, we'll get to it. My name's Brandon, and I'm joined here by your co-host, my best friend, Andrew Moore. Andrew, it is, unfortunately, the first recap of the season, official, and first Wash the Jersey episode of the season. Another week one loss for the Colts. 8 in a row. It's terrible. If we would have recorded this last night, I'd be in a worse mood. And I'd probably be a lot less energetic. So be glad you got a good show, Brandon, tonight. And not upset show, Brandon, tonight. But, buddy, let's start here. How are you? How you doing? How was the vibe in Lucas Oil before the game?
The vibe was great, dude. Especially on that first drive where Seattle had the ball. I mean, 63,000 fans were blasting loud. I mean, I got a text from my buddy who said it sounds loud as hell in there, and it was. I really haven't heard it that loud since the Andrew Luck era, since like 2018 Andrew Luck. It was phenomenal to be there where you have 63,000 fans just screaming their heads off. It caused a false start. You really couldn't hear the person next to you. And then the crowd got taken out of it by the play that happened on the field. So we knew it was going to be a tough one. I think we thought that the weaknesses on the Colts were going to be opposite of what it ended up being on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, a tough loss. They definitely gave it away a lot of times. It didn't play their best ball on Sunday for sure.
Real quick,
how are you doing? How was your move back?
It was a long drive, and we'll leave it at that. We didn't make it quite as quickly as we wanted to. We stayed overnight at a hotel one extra night, but we made it safe. So that's all I can be thankful for. Skylar wants to know if it caused an earthquake like the SEAHAWKS stadium does.
The decibel rate that was on the big screen, the jumbotron at Lucas Oil Stadium, it was at 108 decibels. So I don't know how loud that was, but I took my mom to her first game, and in the middle of that, she said, "Oh wow, my ear just popped." So it was pretty loud.
That's awesome. All right, we're gonna get to there's concern in the chat, Andrew, because I said the last episode of The Educated Fan. But first, I want to give a no free ads ad. We did get to stop in Wisconsin along the way. On the way home from Seattle, which means I got some Spotted Cow. So I'm a good beer. I'm a happy camper. Great beer. I got a variety pack too, which I haven't had in like 10 years. So, all right. Two big announcements today. Two huge announcements. And I'll go at number one first. Three. And I'll get to the third one in a minute. If you guys notice any changes on the screen right now, I'll tell you about it in a minute. Because I'm going to make fun of you for the text message I received 20 minutes before the show. Guys, we've done it again. There's another name change coming to The Educated Fan. Andrew and I are always going to be The Educated Fans, but that's why it's the last one of The Educated Fan, because we're moving on to a new name. We are now going to be known as a Colts podcast. That's right, everybody. A Colts podcast. What are you listening to right now? Oh, a Colts podcast. Hey, man. You know what? I just realized I am a big fan of podcasts. My favorite NFL team is the Colts. What should I do? Man, you should listen to a Colts podcast. I'm looking for a Colts podcast. I have the one for you. I could go all day with these stupid, I guess, puns. I guess technically they're puns. But we're really excited about this new name, this new logo. Thank you again to Jose for some more fantastic work. And we'll tag him in the social posts and whatnot. Andrew, what do you think about a Colts podcast?
I mean, it's exactly what everyone's looking for. If you're a big fan of the Colts, you like listening to the Colts podcast, turn on a Colts podcast. It's going to be the same format of everything. but it's easier to find us, I think. And we're going to be your go-to for a Colts podcast. It's simple. It's sweet. You wouldn't need anything else. It's awesome.
It's brilliant. To be completely honest, we now own a Colts podcast. A Colts podcast.
Neither one of us can talk tonight.
ColtsPodcast.com. Which I just find to be hilarious. I think our new name is hilarious, but it's effective. But Andrew, the announcements aren't done. Some other big news. Let's start with you. Let's start with your news first. Andrew has officially, folks, signed on with Sports Illustrated as a Sports Illustrated writer for the Horseshoe Huddle. He texted me 20 minutes before the show and said, hey, make sure you change my little thing. Now you guys know what I'm talking about. His little title, okay, down there, from SI intern. There you go. SI intern to SI writer. And I did just that. So congratulations to my best friend, Andrew, on being an official Sports Illustrated writer for the Colts. But the fun doesn't end there. Guess what, guys? Andrew's not the only one doing stuff for Sports Illustrated anymore, because we're not just a Colts podcast, but we're a Colts podcast brought to you by Sports Illustrated. That's right, Sports Illustrated. Ever heard of them? Kind of a big deal, they say. Yeah, no big deal, but I know a few podcasters, other Colts podcasters. None of them can say, they're an official Sports Illustrated podcast. There's another logo. I'm full of Sports Illustrated logos today. Andrew, definitely. We couldn't have done this without Andrew. Obviously, I've got my plug to the Sports Illustrated world now, and now we're a part of it. But we're really excited for this next chapter. We thank them graciously for allowing us to be a part of their team in the Horseshoe Huddle, and we're looking forward to working together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, since I became an intern in June, which the summer months have flown by, it seems. I mean, the entire team has embraced me, and I've learned so much, not only on the writing side, but just on the Colts content and Colts information in general. And I've been able to share a little bit of that with you guys. And we're going to be able to share more things because we'll be able to get some high profile guests on the show. We'll be able to really collaborate with other different podcasts and other analysts from different teams as well. So, I mean, shout out to our publisher, Chad Jensen, my editor, Josh Carney, Jake Arthur, Zach Hicks, the whole team at Horseshoe Huddle. It's gonna be a fun experience, and I think you guys are really gonna get a lot out of this partnership with us going on to Horseshoe Huddle and Sports Illustrated. They're killing the game, absolutely killing the game. All the writers over there with all the content we've been pushing out, and the number one place for sports or for Colts content is right there at Horseshoe Huddle with our podcast, the Horseshoe Guys, all the written content. We're building something really big over there, and I'm excited to now bring our podcast, which Brandon and I have really worked so hard on, to now continue that and just let it soar. So it's really an exciting chapter for us.
Tyler, our buddy Tyler, is upset that we're not now just a Dolphins podcast. Hey, that name's probably out there if you want to start your own a Dolphins podcast. He'd also probably be real proud of the SEO that this name involves. Shout out Tyler. Skylar would like to know if we're going to have now that we're with Sports Illustrated, if we're going to have a swimsuit edition of the show, and would love to know if you're going to be modeling first, Andrew.
I mean, I could whip on a banana hammock and strut my stuff for the people if they really need it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. Thank you, Vonda. Thank you, everyone. Hey, and shout out to Jake Arthur. He's been on the show before, our first ever guest. Need to get him back on. Zach Hicks, buddy, I'm part of the team now. You got to follow me back. Nah, actually, follow me. You got to follow me in the first place, and he's got to follow our show. Just seems not right that your pal, your close personal friend Zach Hicks, Andrew, who you talk to now on a daily basis, just doesn't follow us. Seems rude to me. I don't know. We'll see. I'll
get working on him on that.
All right, let's move along. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. Let's change the mood. Let's get sad. Listen, you're going to see some changes over even just the next episode. Our visuals are going to change because we're going to be going on a new site so we can broadcast to multiple sites at once. But for this week, you're still going to see some Educated Fan logos down at the bottom. Let's just call it our goodbye to the name. Week 1, Andrew. What was the score? I don't even remember the score. I should probably have that up. Great start.
Score was 28-16 Seattle.
I don't want.
And honestly, the game started out pretty well for the Colts. I mean, the Colts got the ball. The Colts drove right down the field and got a hot rod field goal right to start. And I thought, I was like, man, the offense looked really good. And that's kind of what my biggest concern was. I really didn't have too many concerns about this defense because I really expected this defense to play pretty lights out and give Russell Wilson a big challenge. And then obviously right after that first drive, the Seahawks march right down the field, get a touchdown, and it kind of started to fall from there. So we're going to get into every little detail here, but definitely wasn't how the Colts wanted to start their season.
Let's start here. It's week 1, okay? And you're going to hear a lot of people say, it's only week 1. We got 16 more games. Aaron Rodgers said the same thing, for their team when they're, and the guys after the game. Jim Irsay said that to the team after the game in the locker room. We're going to say, you're going to also hear all the overreactions. There's one side talking about the overreactions. There's the other side talking about the people who talk about the overreactions. We're going to, maybe go down the middle a little bit here and react to some stuff. I'll tell you right now, Andrew, we're going to start with the O-line struggles. And we don't want to talk too much about next week, but offensive line is going to have to play better football with Aaron Donald coming to town. Period. They were bad. I would say probably our least sizable concern of the week is any game of this team is the offensive line minus the left tackle position. We know, but I think probably everybody but Quentin Nelson blew multiple assignments.
Yeah, it wasn't good, especially when the Colts have the most expensive offensive line in the league. You don't expect that performance. That performance it gave me flashbacks again to 28, or not even 2018, but before that, like 2017, when Jacoby Brissett and Andrew Luck were running for their lives because the offensive line was so bad before Quentin Nelson even got here. I mean, Pro Football Focus, they credited every single guy on the offensive line with at least 2 pressures, except for Quentin Nelson. Quentin Nelson had 0. Julian Davenport gave up 8 pressures yesterday. Ryan Kelly gave up 2. Pro Bowler Ryan Kelly. Mark Lewinsky gave up 3. Braden Smith, the 3rd highest paid right tackle in the league, Braden Smith, gave up 5.
A couple of guys that just got paid. Couple of guys that just got paid didn't go out and earn their paycheck, and they're not the only ones, but we'll get there.
Yeah, Carson Wentz was sacked 3 times. He was hit another 10, and I really don't put that on Carson Wentz too much as far as holding the ball too long, because I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, that's what you're going to get with Carson Wentz. He holds the ball too long."
Nope.
That really wasn't the case yesterday.
Nope.
Now we might be able to put some of the protection issues a little bit on Carson Wentz, because even himself, he admitted that he probably could have done a couple things better as far as calling out protections before the play had started and kind of working on that. But I think that'll come as he gets more comfortable with the offensive line and in this offense. But yeah, this offensive line, you just expect better now from this offensive line with the amount of talent that's in that group. And for Quentin Nelson to be out for almost the whole preseason and then out for a good chunk of this past week because his back flared up and the other guys were the concern, that's big time. And they really got their butts beat. It's pretty simple. And that's not going to fly if this Colts team wants to get where they want. Again, it's week 1, just 1 week. That's not going to happen every week, but it was one of the major reasons that the Colts looked so bad on Sunday and weren't able to do what they wanted to on offense.
Listen, I'm telling you right now, Carson Wentz woke up and said, "I thought this wasn't supposed to happen anymore. I thought we were over this." Right. And he's probably frustrated. There were very few times yesterday that I said, "Get rid of the ball, get rid of the ball, get rid of the ball," because he was hanging on too long. That is an issue that people have, hounded him for in the past, but it's just not what happened yesterday. Now, there was one situation where it seemed they got through the line real fast, where I thought he had an opportunity to step up into the pocket, and instead he chose to fade back and try to run away. That's one play. Carson Wentz played as well as Carson Wentz could have played yesterday, within reason. I mean, maybe Patrick Mahomes wins that game yesterday, but he's not Patrick Mahomes, period. So, you're going to see the people online talking about Carson Wentz, the offensive line, Carson Wentz, Frank Reich. They all know today that the offensive line did not play up to par, period.
Right. And that Patrick Mahomes comment you made, look what happened in the Super Bowl when Patrick Mahomes didn't have adequate protection.
Exactly.
I mean, the Chiefs were a shell of himself. You need great offensive line play, I'm going to say, to be great in this league. It's as simple as that. So those guys will step up. I really don't have too much concern about that group. It is just very disappointing because that's one of the major strengths of our team. That's supposed to be the strength of our team.
Yeah.
All the money that we put in, all the draft capital that Chris Ballard has put into the offensive line. To see a struggling performance like that, especially in the first game for your new franchise quarterback who is coming off of foot surgery and was trying to get away from a team that was like that and wasn't protecting him, it's disheartening. But like I said, I'm not too concerned. I do think this Colts offensive line is going to bounce back, especially when we get Eric Fisher back, because I saw in the little bit of game film that I've seen since I was at the game live, a little bit of the film I've reviewed today, Quentin Nelson did have to go over and help Julian Davenport quite a bit, which left the middle susceptible to pressure. And I think that'll change when Eric Fisher is back, but it's still a very disappointing performance out of the whole unit.
Last thing on the O-line, aside from Quentin going over to help a little bit, we didn't do much with the tight ends, the running backs, and anything really to account for that side of the ball. We didn't do much to help the left tackle, I feel like. Did you see anything that I missed? Like, I've listened to, I've already kind of locked in on, the other Colts media members that I like to listen to and look at their stuff. They're kind of with me here. We didn't do much to help the left tackle out.
We really didn't. I mean, a lot of times Julian Davenport was out there on an island. I did expect Frank Reich to help out Julian Davenport more during the game. There were a few plays where you saw Jack Doyle and Mo Alley Cox on that side to kind of help. Sometimes that they sent the running backs over to that side to do a chip. And then some other times it seemed like Seattle was kind of using that against Indianapolis. Indianapolis thought that that's the side they would attack. The running back would go over to help, and then they kind of double up and put all the pressure on the right side. So to kind of force Braden Smith and Mark Lewinsky to handle all that, and they really didn't yesterday, which is very disappointing. So I think if Julian Davenport does play this week, you will see more emphasis on helping him out, considering he gave up 8 pressures, but hopefully we won't have to worry about that. And Eric Fisher is back this Sunday.
All right. The other, and I want to say unit, but it's an entire half of the ball. The other side that killed us was the defense as a whole. Except maybe, I don't know, we could say maybe the defensive line. They definitely played the best of the 3 groups, but closest to up to par, especially when you're chasing down one of the best quarterbacks, one of the best mobile quarterbacks in the league. We just our defense didn't play well, and there's no other way to put it. We went into that game thinking our defense is enough to slow down the Seahawks offense, even though we knew they were going to be good. They should still be good enough to slow them down. Darius Leonard did not earn his paycheck. Kenny Moore did not play well. We could go on in that list. Our safeties didn't play well either. So I don't know. Where do you want to start with the defense? What do we want to talk about? Darius Leonard stunk. He said they got their asses kicked. He's not wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think Darius, he hits it right on the head. He knows he didn't play well. He a 5-year, $99 million extension. Darius Leonard didn't play like a $99 million linebacker. And the thing is, and he knows that too. So this isn't breaking news or anything like that. It was Darius performance. He only had one tackle in the first half. Usually he's a tackling machine. There was a time in the first half where on a running play, Will Dissly, a tight end, completely took Darius Leonard out of the play. You just don't see that. There was another play on the touchdown to Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett ran right in front of Darius Leonard, came right into his zone, and Darius didn't even touch him. It was a pitch and catch to Everett for a touchdown. It was just bad play. Now, he did redeem himself a little bit in the second half. I mean, he had that forced fumble, but overall, as an entire game, Darius knows that's not what it's not the standard he sets for himself. That's not the standard we have for him, and it's just got to be better, plain and simple. Kenny Moore missed 3 or 4 tackles that he normally makes, and this young safety tandem that I know I've been hyping up all off season, all summer, they didn't look good at all
because they both played great last year.
Kari Willis got beat for 2 big touchdowns by Tyler Lockett. One was that great over the shoulder catch. I'm going to give Tyler Lockett a hell of a credit because that was right in front of me at the stadium. Hell of a catch, hell of a throw. Kari Willis still could have been in better position on that.
Incredible
69-yard touchdown. The 69-yard touchdown to Tyler Lockett, though, excusable. Kari Willis is supposed to be that deep safety back there. Lets the Tyler Lockett go right on by him. And that pretty much sealed the game for Seattle at that point. The Colts weren't coming back from that. So it was just a bad game all around. I mean, the defensive line did have some pressure. DeForest Buckner had a decent game. He had 6 tackles, a sack, a tackle for a loss. He was really the only guy that performed. Kwity Paye was getting some pressure off the edge, but for your rookie in your first game, especially going up against Dwayne Brown, one of the top 10 left tackles in the league. But I thought Kwity Paye had a pretty big challenge, but I thought he did a pretty good job. But as a whole, I mean, that you expect your stars to perform. Darius Leonard didn't perform. Kenny Moore didn't perform. Kari Willis, who is, I think, one of the most underrated players on this team, didn't perform. And when you're going up against a top 5 quarterback in the league in Russell Wilson, if you're not at your best, you're what Darius said, you're going to get your ass kicked. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. I feel like there's so much to talk about. I can't figure out what one thing to talk about. Yeah, Darius missed tackles, made bad reads, wasn't where he needed to be at times, got handled by a tight end at one point. Like you said, Kenny Moore missed tackles. You know what I mean? That's just not what Kenny Moore does, especially not in our defense. This defense is, dependent big time on corners making tackles. We talk about that all the time. Kari Willis, an absolute animal. Yeah. Just blowing coverage. Now, one of those plays that the one, oh my God, that 2nd and 20, I think he was going to try to make a play on the ball. I think he thought Tyler Lockett was going to break instead of just going with that, I guess, double move kind of. But he broke upfield, not back, and he was gone. I mean, you see Kari Willis practically trip over himself, and he was the guy. He was the one that was supposed to be there, and he wasn't. He was probably a little over aggressive there, I would say. Defensive line, I still think Buckner looked good. Kwity Paye almost got him a straight-up legitimate sack on Russ. I think they blew one play dead that I don't think the whistle mattered. I think Kwity Paye was getting home if the play went through without the false start. So, listen, I don't know if you. I don't know. This is probably along the line of, are you a glass half full or a glass half empty guy? I don't think personally that when you see the units that you believe you can rely on, when you see them have a bad game and play poorly like that, I think you could say, well, it's a good sign that the units you didn't have as much faith in did well, and the other units will pick it back up. Or it's, oh God, is the strength of our team just shot? Are we done for? Are we in trouble? I lean more towards the first. I think, and we're going to talk about Carson a little more here, but I think the fact that he played well, is a really good sign. And then once the defense and the offensive line want to complement that, which, by the way, the offensive line, I don't even think we mentioned, that's going to help the run game too when they decide to start playing football. So I'm more on the side of, the bright side, glass half full, one game. But a real good sign, if you're okay being done talking about the defense, is that Wentz played well despite the fact that he was being hit as often as he was in Philly, it felt like. So he used his feet real well. Skylar here in the chat says he looked good on the running the football. He was real mobile. The first one he went and he dove head first, I was like, no, don't do it. But he looked good. Carson looked good. What do you think about Carson?
The only one. There were a few thousand fans inside of Lucas Oil Stadium that let out a noticeable groan when he dove head first there. All just brought back all kinds of flashbacks to Andrew Luck. But I mean, I thought he did good. I'm coming out with a piece on Wednesday that's going to really break down Carson Wentz's performance. So you'll be able to
everybody check out Andrew's piece.
I think he did really well, and especially for considering what I had expected him to, or how I expected him to play week one. Like I said last week, I didn't expect him to light the world on fire. I expected him to come out a little bit shaky, but then eventually get into the rhythm. But he actually came out very well. He started out 9 for 10, led the Colts right down the field, and I think if he would have had better protection, I think there would have been more plays down the field. They tried to get a more of a vertical game going with that deep shot to Paris Campbell was beautiful. I would have liked to have seen a couple more deep shots, maybe to Paris Campbell or Michael Pittman, but give credit to the Seattle defense. They were really making it so that just wasn't there. They really were staying in a too high safety look. Otherwise they would bring Jamal Adams down and blitz him to try to make it so Wentz had to get rid of the ball very quickly. Because you saw a lot of passes to the running backs. And I think not only was that by design, but that was Wentz kind of just taking the check down because there was nothing else there. And that's one of the things that we wanted to see. We didn't want to see Carson Wentz make dumb decisions with the football like he did in 2020. And he was smart with the ball. He was like 25 for 38, 252 yards or 51 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He did have the fumble went on that 4th and 1, which is a big turnover. He fumbled the snap from Kelly and it turned the ball over deep inside of the Seattle territory, which honestly, if the Colts would have kicked a field goal there, it's a whole different story. But we'll talk about play calling in a bit.
Yeah. But hey, that fumble, you never know, really, was it the center's fault or was it the quarterback's fault? They'll both say, "Oh, it was my fault." You know what I mean? So it's hard to say who it was really on. Who know? I don't know. Was there miscommunication on the count? You know what I mean? Like I don't know, but that could go either way. At the end of the day, we'll go ahead and say both of them.
Yeah, either way, it was poor execution, whatever way you look at it. But for the most part, I think Carson Wentz played well, and I think it gives Colts fans hope that this can be an answer to the quarterback position. Because imagine if the offensive line would have played that way last year when we had the statue of Phillip Rivers in the pocket there. I mean, it would have been impossible for the Colts to do anything on offense. So
would have been a tough day.
I'm really expecting.
It was already a tough day.
I'm really expecting for Carson Wentz to be a better quarterback here within the next upcoming weeks once we get better pressure from the or better protection from the offensive line. But you have to be excited for what Carson Wentz showed in this offense, and I think it's just going to keep getting better. Yeah,
I think we've got things to look forward to in regards to Carson Wentz. So I think all the haters, go have a seat. Mr. You-know-who writes articles that stink, go have a seat. Rushing game, Andrew. 17 carries from Jonathan Taylor, 9 from Nyheim Hines, 56 yards, 34 yards. Marlon Mack, 0 carries, which I found interesting. I didn't see anything wrong with the way Nyheim Hines or Jonathan Taylor were playing. I strictly think that this is a product of poor offensive line play. Do you disagree with me?
I don't. I saw a stat today that said Jonathan Taylor had 17 yards before contact out of his 50-some. That's pretty absurd.
That'll tell you right there.
Jonathan Taylor, There really wasn't any open lanes. And again, I want to give credit to Seattle because I think they played very well. And we can't just say that. We can't act like Seattle's a bad team. The entire NFC West is a juggernaut from what we saw yesterday.
4-0. I tried to tell everybody.
And Seattle's a good team, and give them credit because I think Pete Carroll and them came with a game plan. They wanted to make it on Carson Wentz to beat them, and they were going to shut down Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines and force Carson Wentz to dink and dunk down the field and create a bunch of pressure on him. So credit to them. But yeah, I think once this offensive line gets into sync, that's obviously going to help out the running game a little bit. I do want to talk about the running backs in the passing game because it seemed like they were a primary focus.
Nyheim Hines, buddy.
Nyheim Hines they were putting him out wide. They said they wanted to get him more touches, and they certainly did that. What I would like to see though is if it's part of the game plan, great. But I also want the other wide receivers to kind of get more involved. I mean, Michael Pittman Jr. was on the field for 97% of the offensive snaps. I think it was like 70 some snaps he was on the field. He got targeted 4 times. For a guy that dominated really in training camp, you're to only target him 4 times, and a guy that you want to be your number 1 wide receiver, he needs to be more involved in the game plan. And this is kind of where I have a little bit of qualms with how Frank Reich does his play calling. Is I understand you want to spread the ball around, but at the end of the day, when you have talents like Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman Jr. We give Jonathan Taylor the ball, but we need to try to get Michael Pittman Jr. more involved. When T.Y. Hilton comes back, I want to see more of a focus of trying to get T.Y. Hilton the ball.
You make it a priority. Make it a priority.
Right, exactly.
Nyheim Hines, it was a priority to get him the football. Why are we not making our wide receivers a priority? Michael Pittman Jr. yesterday showed that, like, hey, reminder, when I catch the ball, I get yards when I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, he gets yards after the catch, and he didn't have a lot of opportunity to show it, but he when he did, he did.
And I don't have a problem with Nyheim Hines getting the ball. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Nyheim Hines. That's not what I'm saying at all. I know it's not. I don't want other people to think that. I like when Nyheim is rolling, obviously feed him the ball, but I don't want the Colts to try to force feed Nyheim Hines just to get him touches is what I'm saying. You need to get the other guys involved because all their skill sets can be used. We saw what happened when Michael Pittman Jr. had multiple opportunities against Buffalo in the playoff game. I mean, he really dominated that game. Yeah. So I think we need to kind of make sure that he's more incorporated in the game plan moving forward.
Yeah. And we're 30 minutes in already, Andrew, but we got to talk about a couple more things. Play calling, not Frank Reich's best day, in both of our opinions. I think you're the one that put the note in here, right? So, how much of this is okay? So let's get this straight. Frank Reich made some very specific poor decisions, in our opinion, and you often defend him when he goes forward on 4th down. But just in general, how limited, before we go into the specifics, how limited do you think we were in regards to the playbook this week just because of the amount of time Carson Wentz missed in the preseason?
I definitely don't think they had the full playbook available to them. And honestly, the playbook and the plays that were called, it kind of looked pretty vanilla to me, to be honest with you. There were multiple times where I saw the same exact play called. There was a time where he called where Michael Pittman went in motion, and it was a handoff to Jonathan Taylor to the left side 2 times in a row. And it picked up, I think, 3 yards, and then you're stuck in a 3rd and long. He did that multiple times yesterday. Yeah. And you're right. I'm usually one that sticks up for Frank Reich.
When you talk about Jonathan Taylor and the running, like, there's certain people in my family who are football fans, and there's certain ones that are football fans, but when they say, why do they keep running the same play with Jonathan Taylor over and over and over? It felt like run to the left, run to the left, run to the left. They're like, why are we not running any sweeps to the outside? And, why are we not getting creative with the run game at all? And these people, those certain people in my family, I don't expect to say stuff like that. And if they notice, why does Frank Reich not notice that that's what he's doing over and over? You know what I mean? It was frustrating. It's hard to watch.
Right. And I think too, I want to talk about the 4th down calls too.
Yeah,
I think on the the fourth down calls, you know me, I'm usually one that's all on Frank Reich for going for it.
Yeah.
I think yesterday he probably should have taken the points. And I said it when it happened. People were saying, go for it. I'm sitting there in the stands and I'm thinking, I think this
were
is
we down 11 at that point?
Take the points.
We're having trouble. We're having trouble scoring. Take the points, and let's see if we can work up another one. Defense doesn't hold anyway. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so I really do think that they should have kicked it there. And now when we're talking about when we were down in the Seattle territory in the third quarter, and if Carson Wentz fumbles, you kick a 3 there, it's an 8-point game. On the other one, where Carson Wentz gets sacked in field goal in the fourth quarter, you kick it there, it's a 5-point game. Now, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter when Seattle scored another touchdown. Probably not, but it would have been nice to see how the game would have changed if you just would have taken the points there. And I think going for it in the third quarter, there really wasn't a need to go for it at that time. I think that almost seemed like he was panicking a little bit. Take the points, make it a 1-possession game, and trust your defense, because in the second half, the defense only gave up the 1 touchdown. So they did kind of turn things around. And I think that Frank Reich probably should have had a little bit more confidence in them. And this is one of the rare times where I go against Frank Reich and said, you know what, you take the points. Your kicker has been on fire lately, so they're definitely within his range to make. You take the points, and I think you just continue to chip away at the lead.
That wasn't off the turnover, was it?
I think it was.
That's even worse
because it was.
That makes that much
turnover.
worse.
You need to come away with points after a turnover. Exactly.
Yep. So, Andrew, you know what's funny about you saying that is, like, I at that moment was like, Frank's going to go for it. The play call on that go for it, by the way, not a fan. And it was like the Seahawks knew, it's going to, they knew it was a quarterback sneak, and Carson Wentz isn't Tom Brady. He's not the greatest QB sneaker of all time. That's the one best compliment I'll ever give Tom Brady. The time I thought he was going to go for it and didn't was that first drive. I thought he was going to say, all right, let's finish her up with a touchdown, 4th down. We're going for it. If not, first drive of the game, we've got them pinned. I thought Frank was going to go for it. I couldn't believe it. I texted you right away. I couldn't believe he didn't go for it. I wasn't mad he didn't. You know what I mean? Like, but just for Frank, I was like, first 4th down with an opportunity to go for it of the year. He doesn't go for it. Are you crazy? Like, I would, if you told me that was going to happen before the game, I'd have called you a liar. All right. Week 1 woes is what I have on the screen here, Andrew, that you don't see. Every year it's gonna get harder and harder every year to win in week 1. The more years that go by, the harder this first week's going to be. We had the best opportunity in the world last year handed to us on a silver platter, and we couldn't get it done. What's going on week 1? Why can't we win week 1?
I think it's a variety of different things.
A lot of distractions in the preseason, that's for sure.
I think this year especially there was a lot of distractions. Definitely you don't have your starting quarterback, your best offensive lineman, multiple guys were out with injuries. That was definitely a distraction. I think not necessarily playing a lot of your starters in the preseason, because Frank Reich has probably been, even Tony Dungy would play his starters a little bit in the preseason. Frank Reich hardly ever lets his starters touch the field in the preseason. I think that has something to do with it, because they're still trying to knock some rust off, and it was obvious with some of the main guys who really didn't touch the field in the preseason. Could be a little bit that OTAs were so watered down this year, where they really hardly got any work in OTAs. It just seems like this Colts team really comes out flat each year. And again, it could be a variety of different reasons. It didn't seem like the coaches were very prepared. They definitely got out coached by Seattle yesterday. So I think when you combine all that, as well as the pressure that it seems like the Colts put on themselves, and Jim Irsay kind of puts on his team. So
I was just going to say Jim Irsay does his fair share of pressure putting on week 1.
putting so much pressure on winning week one, when in the grand scheme of things, it is just another game. I think that also has like a little, you could see Colts players maybe trying to do too much or trying to think more rather than just going out there and play. So I think it's a variety of different factors, but it's definitely a concern. It's definitely one that the Colts, I think, need to break, because once they do finally break it, we'll finally stop talking about it. But until then, the pressure is going to keep mounting until they actually do win week one game.
Yeah, it's going to just get worse and worse. And Chris and Frank and Jim are all, I mean, Jimmy with the Colts, want to make sure to use his proper title. It's going to get harder and harder every year. We got to get a win next year. I can't take it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, for so many years too, like Peyton, I mean, it was never a question of, are we going to win week one? It was, how many weeks is it going to take for us to lose? And then things will unravel, and then we'll lose in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, very different regular seasons. The last few years, it's like, come on, one more and we're in. You know what I mean? It's a hard adjustment to make. We got to move along though, Andrew. So let's keep it going. I want to get these people to their Monday Night Football game, first one of the year in Las Vegas, that the Raiders are going to win. Put money on them, just so you know. Listen, Bad Beats with Brandon last week did not do well, and I'm sorry, but I did take what I had left in my account last night, and put it all on the Rams to cover. I won that, and now I've put half of that on the Raiders to win on the money line tonight. So a little free Bad Beats with Brandon for you. Injuries, Andrew. Frank said no injuries, but here we are. Right tackle, Braden Smith. Foot. If I hear foot one more time, sick of hearing foot. I don't want to hear foot. I don't want to hear foot. He's going to be monitored throughout the week. I'm pissed off about hearing about feet. Yeah. Don't like feet. Don't want to touch them. Don't want to see them. Don't want to hear about them.
They really didn't say much about what it is or a timeline, but his status for week 2 is definitely up in the air. So if he's not able to go and Eric Fisher isn't able to go, we're trotting out Julian Davenport and Matt Pryor at tackles against the defensive line.
Isn't that a kicker?
That includes Aaron Donald. Matt Pryor is the right tackle the Colts traded from, or with the Eagles, right as camp ended. So that's not good. So you really hope that this injury for Braden Smith isn't anything serious and he's able to go next week. Otherwise, the Colts offensive line woes, I think, will continue.
All right, let's finish off Colts news, Andrew, with some good news. Colts and running back Nyheim Hines agreed to a 3-year, $18.6 million extension with $12 million guaranteed. That's fantastic for him. We're glad that happened. And that puts him in like the top 10 highest paid running backs in the league, which is sad to think about when you look at that number. Like, for the rest of the running backs in the league, it sucks for them, I guess. But It's a very top heavy position for sure.
Hey, dads, don't raise your kids to be running backs. Raise them to be quarterbacks, because running backs have a very short lifespan and do not get paid very well. But
feed them boys some meat.
Get that boy some milk. So you just gotta love it for Nyheim Hines, because he's not just a running back. I mean, you know his capabilities in the passing game. He's probably the best pass catching running back in the league. And now when you think about it, the Colts are really set at running back for the next 3 to 4 years, because you have Nyheim Hines locked in, and then you have Jonathan Taylor locked in as well, still on a rookie deal. The Colts are going to pay their top 2 running backs between $8 and $9 million for the next 3 years. So that's going to be, I mean, they're going to have really good players for really cheap.
We're in a window
entering the prime of their careers. So it's a good signing for the Colts. I'm glad they were able to get it done. So that makes Nyheim Hines the 3rd player from that 2018 draft class to get an extension.
All right. How do we want to do this, Andrew? Because I feel like we want to talk about the very first game of the NFL season a little bit more than the other ones first. But beyond that, what do you want to do? Do we want to limit ourselves to one statement a person to get through these games?
We could do that, because unfortunately I wasn't able to catch most of them yesterday.
Okay,
yeah, we can.
Okay, so there we go. If I have to throw out 2 on one that you throw out 0, that's fine. I know you watched this one, Buccaneers Cowboys. What a football game! What a way to kick things off. I mean, I love a good shootout. with zero defense. You know what I mean? It's a good time for me. My points here, Tom Brady, there's people joking around like maybe he's better than ever, and honest to God, I don't know if that's true, but it terrifies me, the thought of that. I don't like it. He could play till he's 50. And after that game, maybe. I'll talk to you in December. But I mean, Buccaneers offense looked real good. Their defense looked real bad. The Cowboys had opportunities to win that football game. A couple missed kicks could have made the difference.
I think Dak Prescott's all the way back.
Dak Prescott's back,
good.
Baby. Oh my God, he's got
good.
A lat and shoulder rotator cuff problem. He threw the ball 58 times. By the way, can't do that. Can't do that and win.
You're paying Ezekiel Elliott all this money to just run the ball 6 to 7 times with him. You need to use Zeke more. But Dak looked really good. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb all looked really good. I think my biggest takeaway was that the Buccaneers had 4 turnovers. They lost the turnover battle by 2 or 3.
Yeah, it was
bad. They still won the game.
Yeah.
They still won the game.
Yeah.
So that's really tough to win or to beat a team like that can lose the turnover battle and still come out with a victory. So I think the Buccaneers are going to be very tough for every team this year, but a surprise sleeper might be the Dallas Cowboys, especially with the injury to the Washington football team quarterback that we'll talk about. Dallas could very well win this division and tough out in the playoffs. I think Dak's able to stay fully healthy and this defense starts to get a little better throughout the year.
I will say this on the record. I was wrong about the Dallas Cowboys. I think. Let's not overreact in a positive manner on week 1 either. But I think I'm wrong about the Dallas Cowboys this year. I think that offense is just going to be relentless, and that's going to make the biggest difference. Eagles-Falcons. Eagles win 32-6. Congratulations to Nick Sirianni. Didn't expect it. I thought Matt Ryan would have a better game. You want to hear the worst part about this story is that I benched Russell Wilson and put in Matt Ryan 20 minutes before a game.
Yikes.
I don't know what happened. I watched zero of that game. Zero. Not a play.
Congrats to Nick Sirianni for all the crap he took this offseason just because of his bad introductory press conference. Eagles look pretty good. And the curse of me picking the Falcons continues. I don't know what to do about this.
I'll tell you right now, I'm not picking the Falcons in many games. I do think the Eagles are going to stink, which just means the Falcons are real bad. Steelers. So come back, I guess. I don't want to say come back because the deficit wasn't a lot, but they were losing the game for the majority of the game, and they end up winning 23-16 over the Bills. The Bills needed to win that game to show, hey, like we are for real this year, and they did not.
Yeah, I mean, I picked the Bills, and I said it would be a close game because a lot of people were writing off the Steelers. But whenever you do that to a Mike Tomlin team, they always surprise you. And one thing I saw is that usually the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, you think of them as a very high rate blitzing defense. They hardly blitzed at all on Josh Allen. And I think that really confused the Bills offense. And I mean, good for the Steelers. They came out and they put it to them.
By the way, we blitzed uncharacteristically more this past weekend. What do we do? What are we blitzing Russell Wilson for? I don't agree with those decisions at all. Matt Eberflus, hey, you're not off the hook either, pal.
No, Matt Eberflus did not have a great game on Sunday.
Okay, carry on. Bengals, hello, 27-24 over the Vikings. The Vikings stink, and that's my one comment for that game.
I mean, the Bengals, if they're going to play like that all year, I mean, and just continue to get better, this is a young team that only looks like it's going to go up. Joe Burrow looked really good. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. I mean, Jesse Bates, Fort Wayne native on the other side of the ball. The Bengals might be a tough out for a lot of teams.
Andrew just gave 3 comments on the Bengals, everybody. We've got a one comment rule. Andrew gave 3 on the Bengals.
It was in one statement. It was in one fluid statement.
49ers 41, Lions 33. That game was higher scoring than I expected it. The 49ers, first touchdown of the season, touchdown pass Trey Lance.
What happened with that?
Two quarterback system.
The first touchdown.
They're legitimately, from what I could tell, because it seemed they were both in. They're using two QBs. Because Jimmy Garoppolo, when Trey Lance went in and threw that touchdown, 2 for 20. Two completed passes out of 2 passes, 20 yards.
Oh, okay.
So there's that.
Interesting.
Hey, Cardinals, 38-13, baby. I was so confident. I think I'm the only person in America that picked the Cardinals that's not a Cardinals fan. I told you, and the Titans get a loss. We're still tied for last in the AFC South behind the Houston Texans. But Cardinals, baby, I told you.
The Cardinals pull it out. Kyler Murray, your MVP pick, looking real good after 1 week. You looking real good. So, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, Chandler Jones with 5 sacks on Ryan Tannehill. Wow. I mean, they open can on the Tennessee Titans.
What have we been telling people? That offensive coordinator leaving Arthur Smith, problem. Chargers and Washington football team. Chargers win 20-16. And Fitzmagic's hurt. Tyler. Heineke couldn't pull off the win. Chargers come back to win.
I think it's a different game if Fitzpatrick stays healthy throughout the whole course of it. But credit to Justin Herbert, he played pretty well.
Bad news for Heineke there that he kind of blew that game for him. Sam Darnold gets his revenge, 19-14 over the Jets. I tried to watch a little bit of that game just to watch Zach Wilson like at all because I haven't watched him at all. Not impressed with the Jets. We'll say that much.
The Jets offensive line had a lot of struggles. I think I saw that Zach Wilson was pressured on 74% of his dropbacks. For a quarterback in their first ever NFL game, that's going to be tough to beat. Sam Darnold looked pretty good.
Their defense looked all right, though. And I think, honest God, of all the games, for me, this is the most shocking. Texans beat the Jaguars 37-21. Trevor Lawrence had a tough day.
Tough day. I saw he threw like three touchdowns, but he also had two or three interceptions. So, I mean, welcome to the NFL. We didn't expect the Jaguars to really do anything. Just expected Houston Texans to be hot garbage, even worse than the Jaguars. And I saw a rumor today that Urban Meyer might be calling it quits. A rumor said that his heart was not in it.
Shut up, dude. If he quits because he lost week 1, if he quits because he lost 1, you know what it is? Ohio State lost on Saturday, too. He's really just having the woes.
Well,
he's just really having the week 1 woes.
There's also some rumblings that Urban Meyer might want to go back to college. USC just
what's he going to major in?
Clay Helton today. Go back to coaching college. You stupid.
Classic.
Gosh. Don't we have a button for that?
No, we don't at all. Not the right one. Yeah.
But what if Urban Meyer ditches Jacksonville after making all these high demands and everything, trying to turn it over just to lose 1 game and then out and go see? That would be wild. Poor Trevor Lawrence.
Listen here, Colts loyalists, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I benched Russell Wilson against a roadless secondary for Matt Ryan against the Philly defense. Thank you. Matt Ryan with Calvin Ridley, Gage. He's a great quarterback. People don't understand it. Yeah, it happened.
Kyle Pitts.
Go ahead. Kyle Pitts. I have Kyle Pitts. Where is he? Anyway. Chiefs beat the Browns 33-29. I assume that game was everything everybody hoped it was. That's it.
Yeah, I watched that one on the way home. It was a good game. The Browns had a pretty big lead, but then you can never count out Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. It was a good game.
That right there is the epitome of what the Chiefs are. No matter what, we can still win a football game. The Super Bowl didn't show it, but that's what they are. Dolphins beat the Patriots 17-6. I thought it'd be a wider margin than that, to be completely honest with you. But the Dolphins get it done, and I got that pick right. Andrew got it wrong.
So Tyler, you can rub it in my face. I did pick the Pats to win, but Mac Jones probably looked the best out of all the rookie quarterbacks this weekend. I mean, Mac Jones has something there. So I say with the more he gets under his belt, the Patriots might have found something.
Saints, Packers. This is shocker number 2 of the week. Saints win 38-3. Packers stunk, and Aaron Rodgers. I actually listened to his post-game press conference because I love Aaron Rodgers. He was out there for 10 minutes, over 10 minutes. Carson Wentz was like 7. Just saying. He said when you're showing that cover 2 and you're able to stop the run, it's hard to get guys open.
Right. I mean, I think the Saints played pretty well. Jameis Winston's
pretty
back.
well. Are you out of your mind?
What?
Pretty well. They dominated the NFC Championship team. They played amazing.
Well, I mean, you get it, but Jameis Winston, I think. Jameis Winston, I mean, you got to be excited from what you saw, and hopefully it's just not a 1-week wonder thing. But Sean Payton, this is what I was talking about. You get Jameis Winston with Sean Payton, I think Jameis can find his sling and get that bum taste him out of there.
All right, Broncos win 27-13 over the Giants. Rams handled the Bears 34-14. I don't think we're surprised about either one of those. Matt Stafford looks good. I told you guys it was not him; it was the Lions, and he handed it to the Bears.
Matt Stafford looked really good.
That sleeve.
Matt Stafford really did, and
got that sleeve. Look out!
Got that new sleeve, just slinging the pill all over Los Angeles. Rams coming to Indy next week. That's gonna be a very tough game.
All right, news around the league. We're gonna make this quick, Andrew. Let's not hang up on any of this. Ravens running back Gus Edwards torn ACL out for the year. Ravens cornerback Marcus Peters torn ACL out for the year. This is part of the reason I picked the Raiders to win tonight, and I bet on them today. Washington quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick hip to miss multiple weeks. Washington wide receiver, this sucks so bad. Growing injury for wide receiver Curtis Samuel, short-term IR. That sucks. Lions cornerback Jeff Okudah ruptured Achilles, out for the year. Yuck. Jets left tackle Mekhi Becton, knee, out 4 to 6 weeks. 49ers running back Raheem Mostert, chip cartilage in his knee, out at least 8 weeks. Got him in 2 of my 3 fantasy leagues. It's so sad.
Yeah, that's a killer.
That's a killer
for fantasy players.
Yeah, and then their rookie just ate one up. A big long touchdown. It's like that offense just creates running backs long touchdown opportunities. It's unbelievable what they do out there. Steelers and linebacker TJ Watt agree on a 4-year, $112 million extension with $80 million guaranteed, highest paid defensive player in NFL history, and also broke a little rule the Steelers did, guaranteed money through 3 years.
Really? I did not see that.
Guaranteed money for 3 years is how that $80 million comes through. They never do that. They do only 1 year guaranteed. They never do 2 years guaranteed, and they give him 3. Yeah.
Wow. But I mean, TJ Watt, if anyone deserves it, TJ Watt, he's a phenomenal football player. I mean, he should have won Defensive Player of the Year last year. I was very shocked that he didn't. But yeah, I mean, obviously one of the best players in the league.
Saints cornerback and the Saints. Marshawn Lattimore agree on a 5-year, $97.6 million extension with $68.3 million guaranteed. That's a lot of money for a corner. Isn't he the one that gave up the Minneapolis Miracle? He was a rookie that year.
I'm not sure if he was the one that gave it.
He was the one that just dove forward head first, no arms, and just let it go.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure, but man, he is. I mean, he's a dominant cornerback. So the Saints got a good one.
Don't do drugs, kids. Cowboys right tackle La'el Collins suspended for 5 games for violating the NFL substance abuse policy. I don't know if he did drugs. It might have been performance enhancing. I have no idea.
I mean, still the Dallas offensive line just doesn't seem like they can always be in one piece. They missed Zach Martin for the first game. He comes back off the COVID list. La'el Collins gets suspended. Tough break.
Colts player of the game, Andrew. Who is your pick? Go.
Colts player of the game. I'm going to go with Zach Pascal, the always reliable Zach Pascal. He had 4 catches for 48 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was very helpful in the running game. There were multiple times where Jonathan Taylor or Nyheim Hines were able to get a few extra yardage because of Zach Pascal. And we were talking about it. Who was going to be the wide receiver that stepped up when T.Y. Hilton was out for this amount of time? It looks like it might be Zach Pascal. Just always there, always consistent. And if Zach Pascal and Carson Wentz can get a little bit of chemistry going here, I'm all for it. So Zach Pascal is the Colts player of the game.
First play of the game, I think it was, Zach Pascal blocked the shit out of somebody. And then when he was done, got in their face and let them know, like, this is what you're dealing with today. And I was pumped up. I literally, like, stood up from the couch. It was like, let's go. My brother's giving me crap for being so pumped yesterday. Yeah, that's a great pick, Andrew. And to not take yours and to not take the low-hanging fruit of Carson Wentz, I'm going to give you another one that might surprise you. Mike Strawn. I don't need to know his stat line, but he made a couple of great plays and great catches in big moments, a couple of third down conversions, stuff like that. As a rookie, as a guy, 5th on the depth chart in the wide receiver department, I thought he looked real good. And if the Colts don't start to get Michael Pittman involved more, or if Michael Pittman doesn't make it so the Colts have to get him involved more, Mike Strawn might be that next wide receiver 1 and not Michael Pittman Jr.
Yeah, I was impressed by Mike Strawn. He came in. I didn't really expect him to play too much, and he came in and made a couple big third down catches. I think he had 2 catches for 26 yards, something like that. But I think that just kind of shows what the Colts think about Michael Strawn already. Kylan Granson, a guy that we talked about was going to have a big role, played 7 snaps yesterday. Hardly saw Kylan Granson.
Yeah.
At all.
Oh my God, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I think that'll change once the offense we go to a bigger, fuller offense or a full playbook. But yeah, Kylan Granson hardly played. Mike Strawn, though, I think his role, once he starts getting things down, I think his role will start to expand throughout the year.
Carson Wentz's first pass being an incompletion to Jack Doyle really stinks. I'm telling you right now, if Jack Doyle dropped one that was in his numbers to start the season, there was pass interference. Okay? Period at the end. That was pass interference. He was hit early. I saw another play. I can't remember what game it was. Receiver got hit real early. I mean, real early, and they didn't call pass interference. They're more worried about taunting, Andrew, than pass interference. They're more worried about taunting than player safety rules. So that makes sense. Go follow us. Technically, this is not our socials yet. If you're listening to this tomorrow, Tuesday, maybe it is. Hopefully we get these updated to at a Colts podcast tonight. I think we'll update the socials, the important stuff tonight as soon as we can. So go follow us at a Colts podcast on Twitter, Instagram. I meant to do this earlier. Sorry, I know we're supposed to move this to the front. Facebook, a Colts podcast. But hey, guys, we kept you for an hour and 3 minutes. We know you're missing some primetime Monday Night Football. So for me, can I play the outro still one last time? We haven't signed any paperwork.
Go play the outro.
We're play the
outro. We can do what we want.
It's our podcast. We do what we want. Until next time, guys, what do we say? God bless you all. God bless football. Go Colts.
Go Colts.
I fucking love football and I love you guys.